You ready?
Yes.
All right, you're not going to whisper through the whole thing, are you?
What if I do?
That's very ASMR of you. Okay, here comes the theme probably. Welcome to Love in Brief, a brief ABDL advice podcast focused on issues of love. That's love for yourself and love for others and love for the community. And today we're going to talk about self-acceptance and self-love and partnership. And I'm here with my love, Lola. Welcome back for another question roundup.
Hello. I'm going to talk about my love for you, too.
Whoa. That's sweet.
Can I talk about that?
I guess, if you wanna.
It's all about love.
Yeah, it is all. I mean, it's a whole podcast about love, so I think it's totally fine. We have question roundups are so near and dear to my heart. The original concept for Love and Brief was about people giving other people advice, and so we have a lot of guests on that give really helpful advice and expertise. But the question roundups are like lightning round style. Let's just hit as many as we can. So hopefully, we have some wisdom to share. Through our travels in the ABDL world. I've got a few for you. You've got a few for me. Can I go first, please, please, please?
You may. I'm excited to be back. Let's do this.
I'm excited you're back. It's the summer question roundup, so it tends to go faster because it's hot as shit up here.
It is rather hot. I
in
may
the
be
Love and Brief studio.
perspiring.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let me start with this question. This question comes to us from Brojob Ottawa. Is it like Ottawa? Anyway, on FetLife. Not sure if this has been discussed on an episode yet, but would love to hear about how coming out as ABDL went for people who have told somebody else about their kink. What was the reaction of the person finding out? Who did you tell, and what made you decide to tell them? What was the experience for those who accidentally found out? I'd love to hear some feedback. Well, Brojob, I'm right here with you. I love these stories, particularly when they go really well. Not as much when they don't. And the accident ones. But even that, I have a happy story about that. But awesome. I'm going to pose it to you first, Lola.
Yeah. So I have come out, I guess, as kinky. I wouldn't say that I've come out as ABDL to many people in my life because really deep down I'm just a kinkster. So that's kind of what I come out as. And in the last year or two, I have told, my oldest friend that I've known since middle school. I've told people that I'm currently going through some super awesome training stuff with, and it has gone really well for me.
And these are not necessarily kinky people.
They are not kinky
people. You're not
people.
having a discussion about kink. You're saying, hey, I want you to learn this thing about me.
Yeah. For me, it was these people really love me. And they have been there for me and seen me through a lot of really vulnerable things in my life. And they were, there to support me. And so I really felt like it was a safe place for me to share this thing about myself. And I think I really wanted to share it because I love living authentically, and I don't like the feeling that I have to hide anything, especially from the people that I truly trust and love. Yeah.
So how do you decide? I mean, this was part of the question was, how do you decide who are the people that you trust and love that you want to share it with? And who are the people that you trust and love that you don't want to share it with?
Yeah. I think for me, first, again, that I had already been vulnerable with these people about some other really delicate stuff just in my past, about my trauma and abuse in my past. And they were there for all of it. And had really empathetic, it just held that space for me. And I felt like it had already deepened our relationship by doing that. So I felt like this was something that would also deepen our relationship. If it was with people that I didn't think anything would come of it, and there's no reason to really tell them because it wouldn't deepen our relationship in any way, then I don't think I would tell them.
So let's talk about one of the common things that I've been asked about, which is family. Have you shared with any family, extended family, and how did you choose and how did it go?
Well, that's kind of a tricky question. I have shared with someone who used to be in my family.
Okay.
From before when I was married. And that happened because she actually wanted to talk to me about how she felt like maybe there was something wrong with her And I was like, what's going on? And she was like, I just have these feelings like I want to be tied up, like I want to be told what to do. And I was like, oh, those are feelings of being submissive. And there's nothing wrong with you. And in fact, there's a whole website of 10 million people out there that you can go be friends with. And I happen to be one of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
So in that moment, I mean, based on the criteria you shared earlier, like this is somebody who you trust and love, and in that moment, whose relationship with you could be made deeper.
Correct.
By knowing this.
Correct. I think it's a good rule in general not to tell your family. I don't think that talking about your kink or your sex life in general is something that's super healthy or appropriate. Especially like my, close family. But this was a person that I also see as a very dear friend. And and in that moment, I was like, I trust her. And I also want her to know that she's not alone.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was kind of a special circumstance.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would have told her otherwise.
But brothers and sisters, mom and dad, that's a no for you.
That's a no for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm in a, I guess, sort of similar place. I've only shared it with a handful of very close vanilla friends. I've had one of them on the podcast. We did an episode with him.
It's so cool.
And I would say I can count on one hand the number of close friends I've shared it with. Every single one of them, it's gone great. One of them was because in a similar situation to yours, he was sharing some really deep-seated concerns and fears about his own sexuality with me. And I was able to shed some light into that world and give him light and love that way. So that was an easy choice. The other two, one of them I knew was pretty darn accepting. The other one, I was like, I don't know. I'm not too sure. But we had known each other for, almost 15 years. And we had a depth in our relationship where I kind of hit a wall where I couldn't talk to him about some of the most important decisions in my life. And I really wanted to. And I really wanted him to know about them and care about them the way I cared about him. And so I chose to tell him. And I can say both of those went awesome.
Do you think you would have regretted not telling him?
For sure. Yeah. Because we would hit a point where I would be hiding so much of things that really matter to me that I would necessarily have to distance from that friend. It would be so weird not to talk about it at that point. You know what I mean? But I also have chosen not to share with my siblings, with my parents. For some people, that relationship, that may totally make sense because they're extremely close and they're like best friends. And this is something that they would openly talk about, sexuality. For me and my family, we're close, but that's not a part of our lives we talk about.
Yeah, I'm curious. Do you think if diapers weren't your thing and you were just kinky, do you think you would feel differently?
So they do know that. So
they do know you're kinky.
They know that they know I'm kinky. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
why not the diaper part?
Not then? my mom doesn't. I wouldn't talk to my mom, but my brothers do.
Yeah.
The diaper part I think is really hard for people who don't know about it. It's really hard for them to wrap their brain around.
Yeah.
And it can squick them out. My guess is it would go exactly like it did with my two best buddies. That they'd be like, cool, why are you telling me? No big deal. But they're, I'm around them for the rest of my life at every family function. So I'm not rolling the dice on that one.
So what I'm hearing is like, and same for me, is that I think there's kind of varying degrees of like disclosure.
Yeah.
So the one person I mentioned earlier, I wanted to share FetLife. So obviously she would go and see diapers all over my profile. So she knew about the diapers. But other friends I have told that are my more vanilla friends or from like my, former vanilla life, I just said I'm kinky. Yeah. And I didn't feel like I wanted to, for probably the same reasons as you, I don't want to be misunderstood. And I also didn't think it was that important. For me, it was important for them to understand that I am a woman who really loves exploring and gaining power through my sexuality. And part of that is being kinky and having kinky relationships.
Yeah. That happens too over time. Many of my very close friends now are people I met in the kink community.
Right.
So it's already a given, you know what I mean? Which is kind of nice. But for those that I knew were kind of ride or die for the rest of my life, I wanted to tell them. I wanted to welcome them in.
It's interesting. I'm thinking I, came more into my kink life a couple of years ago, right through my separation after that, and being like, this is what I want for my life. And basically all the friends I have made since then have been in the kink world. But I think that was on purpose
Yeah.
for me because that's what I wanted to surround myself with. And so the other very few people I still have told I'm a kinky person because I think that's the stage of life I'm in right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I also, and I know we'll move on in a second, but I also weighed what would happen if there are people who really I think are going to have a negative reaction. That's a no. But also if it's too risky, like I could be very close friends with, let's say, my boss. I don't know if I'm talking this with my boss, even if we're very close friends, right?
Yeah.
There's just too much there. So the other question that came up here was, what about people who found out on accident? And we have had episodes featuring people who accidentally
found out.
Yeah. But I will say, I'll tell just one short story that a close friend recently told me that they had some of their friends and family find out by accident. And when that happened, they, expected the worst. And instead, they got closer to their family than they've ever been and closer to those friends than they've ever been. So sometimes it actually is an incredible catalyst.
Yeah. I love that story. And also, I want to do a disclaimer that there have been friends that this has happened to, and it has not gone that way.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's not an encouragement to go just run out and tell your parents, but whatever you're fearing the worst may not be.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
All
right, let's go to another one. You want to ask me one of these?
Yes. So this one comes from Lil Bug on Instagram.
Lil Bug.
You know what I pondered earlier that I think is a really good topic?
What?
When and how to decide to show your face on social media, like Instagram, for example. I definitely don't do this on my Facebook. But I'm just a mom. I have no important job or risks. I would like to challenge just a mom. But yeah. And how does one decide?
Ooh, this is a good one. So yeah, and I can't wait to hear your answer on this one as well. But I have chosen not to do that heretofore. I don't put my face on pictures where there's anything kinky going on.
Yes.
If I have really close friends, right, they see my face on private messages and things. But the reason I've done that is because it's really hard to undo that. And somebody could accidentally find you, or somebody could do something nefarious with that. And that is 99.99% of people will never do that. But boy, that one time or that one person for me was not worth the risk. Now, do I think my life would explode? No, but there's a whole bunch of people I don't want to have that conversation with. I'd rather not. And so for me, the risk of having to have that really awkward conversation with a bunch of people I don't want to and potentially alienate some people I care about just hasn't been worth it to me. With that said, for other folks, like the question asker said, hey, I don't have a high risk job. Okay, well, maybe that risk isn't there for you, right? Like if you've weighed the risk and the benefits and you feel like it's going to help further your relationships in the community and you don't feel like there's a lot of risk or you don't care if people find out, it's not a big deal to you, great. For me, it just hasn't yet been worth it.
Yeah.
What about for you?
Well, I have never shown my face in any of my kink social medias ever. I do show from my lips down, but I've chosen to never show my face, even if it is just a, private setting. And, for the reason that you said, that can never, ever be undone.
Yeah.
And for me, so I now have a JFF page, and this is something that I have thought a lot about, probably more than most people, because I do think that there would be a benefit for me showing my face. I definitely think I would be more successful if I showed my face. But I ultimately decided that was not a risk that I wanted to take. And perhaps me being a woman is part of this decision for me.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I don't want my family to find out. Would it be the end of the world if my family found out? Probably not. And I don't foresee any future career of mine where this would be a huge problem for me.
Yeah.
But what it is that I want to be safe. That really comes down to
like
me being
physically safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like kind of the biggest thing for me. Like I don't want my family to find out.
Yeah.
But if they did, that wasn't the biggest reason why I've never shown my face. It's because I want to be safe.
Sure.
And I don't want anything, harmful to come to me because I've shown my face and I'm, quite visible out there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, and you raise a good point I hadn't thought about when it comes to physical safety, which is somebody with malintent,
Mm-hmm.
if they found out about where you live,
Mm-hmm.
but you've never shown your face, how would they know it was you?
Right.
But if you have, now they know it's you,
Mm-hmm.
walking around or at the store or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Again, fraction of a
Yes.
fraction of an issue, but boy, I get it. And that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
So I'll say to Lil Bug, totally up to you. I know lots of folks who share their face and have had, relationships get even more deep because of it, because they're able to recognize their, friends and share pictures, and not something I've chosen to do, but certainly I think it's your risk benefit analysis, and you'll know if you think it's worth it.
I agree. For me, also, there's always that little bit of, I don't know, like listen to that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's worth it to not listen to that.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Good one. Okay, so let me throw this out to you.
Okay.
Anonymous on Tumblr, one of our biggest
Again?
fans. Yeah, they're writing all the time. I'm a big fan of your podcast and wanted to ask if there is or will be an episode on navigating ABDL with a partner that isn't interested in it. I'm experiencing this right now and could definitely use some of your expertise. Well, Anonymous, we got your back.
Are you throwing me the Nilla ones again? Because I used to kind of be a Nilla.
Yeah, I'm kind of throwing you the Nilla ones. So you at one time were in a relationship with an ABDL person while you were not a practicing Kingster.
Correct.
And certainly not a practicing ABDLer.
Yes.
Do you have any advice for our anonymous friend?
Do I have advice? What is the question again?
I mean, what do you do when you're in a relationship with somebody who isn't interested in participating in this kink?
Yeah, I guess it's just sort of an open-ended question. That's why I'm struggling. But I think ultimately it kind of depends on what you want for your relationship, what you do about this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just assume that the question asker is asking, like, how do I perhaps help my partner, like, come into this life with me more?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But I don't know. That's a really hard one because at the end of the day, if someone has zero interest in doing this with you, I don't know that there's much you can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry to say that, but there are ways I think that you can try to help your partner understand and see what it is that you love about this.
Yep.
So, for example, you could have your partner, more invested or bring them into maybe your online spaces as a Kingster so that they can understand, first of all, what this is all about.
Yeah.
And maybe this podcast is actually a good place to start as well.
Ooh.
This was something that when I was the uninterested partner that my ex-partner introduced me to. And it helped me realize that there are actually really, real intelligent adults that are into this kink. And that made me feel like, oh, maybe I do want to be a part of this.
Oh, because you had a perception that maybe these were maladjusted weirdos.
I don't want to put that in, but like
that
perhaps
was my language, not yours. But yeah.
I also thought like maybe these are people who, and this is obviously a bad perception, but not at all what I think now. But maybe these are people who are very immature, don't know how to be real adults, and so they're just like, well, screw that. I'm just gonna like do this thing.
Oh, that's actually way more generous than what I said.
But that really helped me listening to you and listening to R&T and all of your really smart, deep guests that like, oh, this is actually a big part of who these people are, their identity for like really deep, amazing reasons.
That's something I've heard a bunch when people talk about their partners and people who haven't listened to it, and I'm going to try and not sound like saying the podcast is the answer to everything, but I have heard, once I realized you sounded like reasonable, intelligent, kind, deep people, it made me feel like maybe this thing isn't populated in, by people I wouldn't want to be around. Maybe normal people can be into this, right?
And I think that was it for me too. It was like, how am I going to ever relate to anybody in this?
Yeah.
But when I heard that you were just adults, first of all, that are really interesting, smart, intelligent people, that I was getting advice, even though I wasn't an ABDL person per se, but then I was still finding really good life advice on this podcast. That kind of made me want to dive deeper.
Yep. The other thing I know some people do is they introduce similarly, but they introduce to somebody else they know in the community. And they're like, it's the same idea, but they go, oh, well, that person's normal enough.
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea.
Yeah.
I like that.
Somebody that
too.
you already know. Not, you wouldn't just roll the dice on that.
Right. Yeah. Another piece of advice is maybe, if you can find a way, ask your partner what makes them uncomfortable about this, and then be open to whatever it is that they're going to say. You need to be open to hearing, I don't know, they're all weirdos or whatever.
Yeah.
But just put that space out there that you're willing to have a dialogue and just be open about this and not pushing in any way, and be ready to accept whatever it is that they have to say.
Yeah, that's really good. The not pushing thing is huge, I think. And we've talked about this before on the podcast, but if you come to the conversation like somebody who is ashamed, they're going to feel that on you. If you come to the conversation as somebody who's like, this is a bad thing in my life, they're going to think it's a bad thing too.
Right.
And maybe this person is doing it, maybe not. But if you can come and say, this is a part of myself that is awesome and I love, and I want to share that with you, but I understand that you may not want to.
Yeah.
And then not push.
Right.
And say, maybe you're in, maybe you're not. Where it gets a little dicey is if you want to engage and they're telling you you also can't engage in it. That's where, like, I don't know what to do with that. If your partner's like, I am not comfortable with you buying diapers or buying a onesie, or even if it's by yourself on a weekend, I'm not comfortable with you in any form engaging in this, that's a different, I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah. I mean, with that, it's like maybe they just need a clearer understanding of what this is. And if you can explain where they can find a place of like understanding and empathy and compassion for you, then that could be like lead to another conversation.
Yeah. I find myself thinking like, man, is there a way, if somebody's really that hardcore anti, is there a way, short of like, yeah, maybe they misunderstood or they have misconceptions, there also is a scenario in which you come to the partner and you say, I'm sorry, but this isn't going away. It's part of me.
Yeah.
What are we going to do now?
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to not have this as part of me.
Yeah. I mean, some people will truly have no interest and will not want to be part of this.
Yep.
And I think then perhaps it is down to a conversation about, okay, how maybe would you be able to find this outside of your relationship? And what would the boundaries of that be? And what could that possibly look like?
Yeah.
And is that something that you can both live with?
Yep. And that could be enjoying it solo. That could be enjoying it with partners online. That could be enjoying it with play partners, all the way through to polyamory and having deep relationships, right? And everything in between.
Right.
But yeah, that could prompt that conversation for sure.
I also just wanted to plug, if maybe you do find that there's like some sort of interest, but they just are very scared, have no idea what to do, that I want to plug the ABDL +1 support group that's run by AB Dealing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I hope we can put that the
Show
link
note?
tree in the show notes.
Let's do it.
But it's on Discord. It meets once a week, and it's specifically for people to have a space to be like, I don't like this. And there are there's no ABDL people there. So they truly can, and it's run by someone who was brought into community, themselves by their partner.
Yep.
And so perhaps that would be helpful for your partner to have a space to go to be like, help me understand.
Yep.
and I don't like this. But I want to,
Yeah.
and like have a safe place to explore that with other people that are just like them.
If you want to learn more about that, we did an episode on that just a few episodes back on the ABDL support group.
Yeah.
And they're awesome.
I have one more piece of advice.
Oh,
I say also, perhaps there's some sort of sexual thing, or maybe it's just an intimacy connection thing that you've never shown interest in, even though you think your partner may really want to try it. Do that for them.
That is also really good advice. Yeah, if you're not having an exchange,
Yeah.
sometimes people come into this because you've wanted it your whole life and it's all you've ever thought about. And you come into it like, feed me. But it doesn't work that way.
Right.
We feed each other.
Correct.
Yeah.
So see if you can find a way to find something or ask about that and be willing to try it yourself.
Yeah. Man, you're full of great advice on this one. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Now you got to hope I really don't blow the next one.
Oh, I know. Sometimes I wonder with you. No, I'm just kidding.
I know. Me too.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Another one from Anonymous.
Wow.
Are you ready
busy.
for? They are very busy. All right. So this comes from Anonymous on Tumblr. And it says, this kink involves a lot of power exchange. When is a power dynamic unhealthy? And when is somebody using vulnerability to take advantage of you? And how does the community treat repeat offenders?
Whoa.
This is a big question.
Do you know, this is like one of those that people tend to save for our live show because they know it's going to make me squirm, because
Yeah.
this is a big, heavy question, but
He is squirming over there.
bring it on.
Yeah.
This kink absolutely involves a lot of power exchange. And I think a lot of folks, because it doesn't necessarily involve dangerous situations like, let's say, suspension or rope or knife play or edge play or whatever.
Fire play.
Or fire, yeah. Because it doesn't necessarily involve that, I think people don't think about it as being dangerous. But man, the vulnerability space that you are in, if you're doing an ABDL dynamic with somebody, whether you're the big or the little, you are playing a big power exchange and vulnerability space. So first off, I would encourage everybody to just recognize Anonymous's wisdom here in noting this is a power exchange when you're doing something big, little with somebody else, regardless of which side you're on.
Yeah.
And that is a shared vulnerability. And we've talked about this before on the podcast, but that is a shared vulnerability, the big and the little. So when is somebody using that vulnerability to take advantage of you? This one's really tough because it's so personal. It's almost like the old definition of porn. You know it when you see it. I think when you notice that giving that vulnerability is somehow getting it's getting used or it's getting spoiled, it's getting somehow sort of coercively leveraged outside of the dynamic or inside the dynamic, but in ways that you feel uncomfortable with. If you have expressed that discomfort and it continues, you're being taken advantage of. And so an example you might use would be, let's say you're in a submissive dynamic with somebody who is dominant and you really don't like this particular sexual act that they like to do, or you really don't like, we'll say, being tied up or whatever. And you're in a submissive space. And so they say, I'm going to tie you up. And you have had a rational sit down conversation with them at some point to say, I really don't like that. Or in the moment, you are not enthusiastically consenting. And you're like, I really don't want to be tied up. No, thank you. If you've communicated that and it continues, you're being taken advantage of. They might slip up for a second and be like, oh, I forgot you don't like that. Okay. But like, if they're leaning in, and this applies to everything, not just your body. This applies to your money. This applies to your social relationships. This applies to your family relationships. If they're taking advantage of any of those things in a way that you're uncomfortable with, have communicated, and it continues, you are being taken advantage of. How does the community treat repeat offenders? Not well. We don't have a governing body in ABDL. That thought creeps me out. So thank God we don't. So there is no, sort of formal punishment. But what I've noticed is that people who have taken advantage of others on more than one occasion, have had sort of the sit down and they kept going, tend to get ostracized. They don't get to go to play parties. They don't get invited to get-togethers, at least not the kind that I'm at.
Yeah.
And if your reputation is, I mean, it's one thing to have a reputation for, let's say, not being that fun or, you smell like cabbage. I don't know. But if you have a reputation for being unsafe or taking advantage of people, ooh,
Yeah, that's going to get out there fast.
Yeah. You don't get many hall passes on that one.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, I agree with all of what you were saying. Again, like you said, I think that sometimes a big little or caregiver little power dynamic might be in some ways the deepest, most actual power dynamic-y of all of them because it plays so much in vulnerability. And as you were saying this, I was thinking, I wonder if there is maybe more space within the ABDL kink to use some more broader BDSM rules, like, the stoplight system and things like that. I don't see that happening or really being talked about in a lot of like big little situations.
That's so true. We don't talk about consent at time, do we?
No, and we need to.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's this perception, like you said, because it's not like this scary thing. But like in some ways, it could be the scariest. I don't want to use the word mind fuck, but like kind of mind fuck place to be in, to belittle and regressing. And I think people need to be more upfront about, like I've never heard a little be like, I have a hard limit with whatever. Like I've never even heard a little say that term out loud. Or refer to themselves as having hard limits. But I think we all do.
That's consent terminology, right?
Correct.
And it doesn't necessarily work its way into big little world.
Yeah.
I agree. I think we should be talking, maybe we need to do a consent episode. I think we talk about it here on the podcast, but we don't talk about systems for it.
Right.
We don't talk about parlance and terminology and agreements and all the things that you would definitely do if you were walking into a good BDSM club.
Other, power dynamic really within the kink world. Yeah. And so I think maybe we screwed up a little bit here. We need to talk about that. Agreed. We as like a community.
Yeah, agreed.
Because this is a very serious power dynamic.
Yeah. And, we've put on our own events. And I remember the event that we put on that was very sexually oriented.
Whose event was that?
No, that was your birthday event. That was a lot of fun. But the first thing I did, was I gave a consent talk. I don't know that that's common.
No, I've never been to another party of ABDL where that has ever happened.
Huh.
Have you?
Mostly not. Mostly I've seen it at ABDL parties where there are other kinks being practiced, but not when it's just sort of like a bunch of ABDLs getting together.
Right. And perhaps we felt more, I mean, I think I would feel we need to do it no matter what, but like I did want to be more sexual than probably most littles get.
Yep.
I don't consider myself a little, but basically every single person there was an ABDL, big or little. And I still felt like this is something we need to talk about. Oh, for sure. And I asked you, and you graciously were like, yeah, I will absolutely do this talk. And we came back to it when we were doing scenes and even just like little diaper changing scenes, things like that. Oh, yeah. We would come back to being like, is everyone in the room consenting to seeing this and being part of this? And remember, consent also we have some friends that are maybe in, marriages and stuff where they are fine being around it, but not participating. And so we know, like, they're cool watching, but don't go over there and try to have them participate. I think these are things that need to be addressed way more often in our community.
I completely agree.
And maybe then I do hear of people getting taken advantage of a lot. Maybe this is one of the reasons why.
Because we don't have enough dialogue on it.
Correct.
We don't introduce frameworks like the stoplight, which, by the way, would you just explain it? Let's share this framework now.
Yeah, so that's very easy that you can use at any time during a scene, which, again, could be literally a diaper change or whatever sort of, whenever there's some dynamic going on, where you can use just like a stoplight, red, yellow, or green. And green can mean obviously everything's good here. Let's keep going. Yellow, I might say if there's something that's maybe I'm being pushed a little hard on and I'm starting to feel like, this might be a boundary or I'm getting up to a boundary, but like, let's keep going. But I just want you to be aware of this. Yeah. And then red, no matter what is happening, when like you stop immediately.
Yeah. Yep.
If someone says red, you stop.
It's a super easy framework to remember. And you can share it at the beginning of any party or event or just one-on-one gathering. You can say, hey, I use this framework. And now we're all agreed that that's how that works.
And I think even I'm trying to imagine littles, like when you are in little space, like I think it would be easy enough for people who want to stay in that little space, mind space, to say red, yellow, and green. They're just colors.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
true. Unless you're asking for a crayon, and then it gets real confusing.
Yeah.
Don't bring any red crayons to your party. It'll get too confusing.
You can only bring burnt sienna.
Raw umber, perhaps. I do want to also note that this person asked about being taken advantage of, and that happens to bigs as well.
Yes.
And so
thank
we've
you.
talked about the littles, but sometimes folks, I've seen it, I've experienced it myself. Folks will use being little as an excuse to sort of flop over and have you take over their lives in ways that are totally boundaryless. And unless you have, again, enthusiastically consented to saying, yes, I want to be the one who schedules all your days. I want to be the one who picks out all your clothes. I'm the only one in the house that's going to call the exterminator when we need it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to do all the adulting for you. And renewed that consent. And, you know, unless that's what you chose and you continue to choose every day, there's no reason why, because you're a big in a relationship, you have to take on adulting for somebody else. That's not how that works.
We're all adults.
That's the first A in ABDL, right? We're all adults. And so if you feel like you're being taken advantage of, again, financially, with your house, with your time, with the chores that you do for your little, same deal. That if it's not enthusiastic consent in both directions, it shouldn't be happening.
Yes.
And if you're feeling taken advantage of, you're probably being taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And I want to distinguish between abusive and unhealthy. So this particular question used both. Is that true? No, they said repeat offender, but they did not say abuse.
They said unhealthy.
I was the one who wrote abuse into the title. So they said, when does it become unhealthy? It doesn't have to be abusive to be unhealthy. If you've ever been in a relationship that started out awesome and then soured, and both are great people and both wanted the best and both tried their best, and somehow you just got sicker and sicker and sicker over time, right? That's an unhealthy dynamic or unhealthy relationship that is not abusive. So to feel taken advantage of doesn't mean that your partner's being abusive. It means there's something you guys need to talk about.
Yes.
Of course, sometimes it is abusive, but that's not the only way you get there. So don't wait until it looks like abuse or it feels like abuse. As soon as you notice, the same way that like if you only eat pizza every day, after a while your body will tell you this is probably a bad idea.
Eat a salad.
Yeah. Pay attention to your heart, pay attention to your mind and your body. And when it starts feeling unhealthy, it's probably unhealthy.
Yeah.
It's time for a conversation.
Yeah. I think a lot of us, I would say just adult human beings, do not listen to our guts and our hearts enough.
That's true.
And so, yeah. I also wanted to point out as we were talking, I'm so glad you brought that up, that yes, the bigs or the doms or whomever, you know, the tops, they also can be taken advantage of.
For sure.
And guess what? They can also use red, yellow, and green.
They sure can.
So
they sure can. And it's totally okay for somebody in that big relationship or dom relationship to say, I'm not doing that for you.
And negotiations, you know, having discussions about whatever scene or dynamic, whether it be a short-term scene or a long-term dynamic, ahead of time, having those negotiations, they go both ways, both parties. This is why it's called power exchange. You both have power and you are bringing them together and exchanging them in a enthusiastically consenting adult relationship.
Yep.
So don't forget about that.
Yep. Consent is enthusiastic and ongoing, meaning you can revoke at any time.
Correct.
All right. I've got one for you. This one is from Atlanta ABDL on FetLife. I think you've done a tremendous job exploring the mindsets and approaches of kink. Thank you very much. I'd be curious to hear about real life dynamics. I think for many, there's this fiction of thinking that, quote, this must be how life is as a practicing ABDL couple, when reality may be far different. Not like in a porn way, like telling diaper stories for a turn on, but more like this is what it's really like. So I think people, I'll end with this. The question ends with, I imagine people struggle with, their life must be awesome. I want that. And it may be full of incorrect assumptions. I love this question.
This is a big question.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I love this question too. And I mean, I'm just putting myself in the shoes of me, you know, I don't know, 15 years ago, going online and seeing what ABDL and DDLG dynamics look like and being like, first of all, what is this? And secondly, okay, I want to do this. This must be how it should look and the only way it looks. So I think that a lot of us fall into that trap of whatever we see online is like the only way that this is.
Yeah.
And that's not true.
Yeah.
First of all, you're seeing things online. People are putting things online that are the best of whatever kink that they are involved in or dynamic they're involved in.
Yep.
They're putting the best of that online. I mean, you just think about that. We hear about this about like Twitter and Facebook, like any vanilla social medias too, right? Your friends are putting on their vacations. They're putting on, oh, look, my kid did this amazing thing. They're not putting on, we had to do the dishes and, my dog threw up again in the bed. They're not putting that on Facebook. So I think the same relates here as well. So I think that's something to remind yourself, keep in mind that what you're seeing is the sort of idealized version typically.
Yeah. I think that's true, as you said, in any social media.
Yeah.
In any online context. Because it would be weird if people put their dog puke on. I mean, I've had people
I don't know why that's what came
in my like social media circle who get on and like tell me about their relationship problems with the entire universe. And I find that off-putting. Like I don't need you to be perfect, but that's weird. But at the same time, I get why we only share those things.
Yeah.
So R&T and I experienced this a lot. When we announced that we were splitting up, we had people writing to us all over the place saying, but you guys seem fine. And I had to reconcile with this rough question of like, was I lying? But the answer is no. It would be really weird for R&T and I to get on the podcast every week and go, well, here's what we fought about this week or this month. You know what I mean? That would be a really strange thing to do and probably pretty boundaryless. Where we did have struggles, we would share them occasionally, but it would be really weird to keep everybody informed the whole time. Right. So to that end, I think the question is asking what is life really like? And we can ask other couples this, but we can also talk about ourselves.
Yeah.
What is life really like with us?
I think that we are a couple that deeply loves the same things in life and want to live in a way that is really authentic. And a big part of that for us is kink. And so I think that I would imagine our relationship is probably a little bit more kink-centric than most kinky couples. But I also went specifically looking for that kind of relationship.
Yeah.
But also there are very many nights that we're like, we want to go to bed. And we, I can't do this thing. And we both travel a lot. We both have a lot of other commitments. And so I think for us, so we are in a 24/7 DS dynamic. And part of that for me, I am the submissive in that. And part of that for me is wearing diapers 24/7. Now, that doesn't mean it turns me on all the time. It doesn't mean you're interacting with me all the time. It doesn't even mean that you're changing me all the time. What that means is that for me, when we're apart, I still have this thing that connects me to you. But we go off and we do all of the adult shit all of the time.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm still hung up on when you said 24/7 because that's hot as shit.
Still.
I still think about it like all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was something that early on I said, hey, I would love this. Not a have to, but I sure would love this. And you were like, I want something that connects me to you even when we're not together. I want to do something submissive. I'm in.
Yeah. I view it almost as like my collar.
Yeah. And I fucking love it. And you're right. Like we have all kinds of times that are very not sexy. And we even have tensions because every couple has tensions. We have tensions around which one of us is doing too much. And I haven't seen you in 2 weeks. And you or I've been sort of gallivanting across the country or whatever. And how are we going to prioritize time for each other? And we're in a poly dynamic as well, right? So then you introduce issues of jealousy and why aren't I getting the time or why is this other person or what, whatever. Things that always inevitably happen in any kind of poly dynamic. So we work through those too. And we work through nights where like one of us is like, rawr. And the other person is like, Like I went through a period of like 3 weeks just being stressed out from work.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to do anything,
Mm-hmm.
including sexy fun times.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, just come to bed. That's the one thing I want to do.
And it's nice that, like, yes, we have this dynamic. Yes, we're kinky people with these real life dynamics, but also we're just two people that want to be there for one another.
Yeah.
In whatever it is that life throws at us.
Yep.
Just like any other couple.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we should ask other couples this. I like this question.
I like this question too. And I don't know that there's time now. I mean, we could get more into specific practicality of how people make this work and stuff like that, you know, but
I think we should bring people on for that.
Yeah, exactly.
I will say, I think that we communicate really well, and we communicate a lot and very intentionally about our feelings. We tell the truth unconditionally with love, but we tell the truth unconditionally, and we communicate a lot.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I think we do probably more than most people.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's also part of a poly relationship too. You have to do that, right?
Yeah, but we were doing that before I had another partner.
That's true.
So.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good one. I like that. We get to pull this into another episode.
Yeah, because I don't want to go too deep because I think there's a lot of things, and you know, our 24/7 DS dynamic is not the only dynamics that we do as well. So
that's right.
There's all sorts of stuff.
That's right. We can talk about switching.
Yeah.
We can talk about having when both of your partners are together playing with you. What do we do then?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a fun one. All right. I think I've got one more in my tank. What do you got?
Okay. Yes. One more. Okay. So, autonepiophilia?
Autonepiophilia.
Nepiophilia.
Well, let's go with that.
Autonepiophilia.
My Greek's a little rusty, but let's go with that.
On FetLife.
I looked this word up, by the way. It means adult baby, essentially.
Yeah, like infantilizing oneself, I think.
Infantilizing oneself, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I would love to hear you talk about the difference between self-acceptance and self-love.
Ooh, I like this.
As my self-acceptance took on the form of accepting that I was weird and different and would just be alone forever, it wasn't until I started to love myself that the acceptance became more positive and healthy to me. To me, self-acceptance is merely accepting the state you're already in. It takes self-love to accept oneself fully. If self-acceptance is a butt, self-love is a diaper. That's very fun.
That's poetic. I like that.
I'm curious to hear you because I do think that these are interchangeable. A lot of people talk about self-love and self-acceptance, but like we don't actually talk about what that means and what that looks like. And I think you are the perfect person to ask.
Thank you. And I'm super excited to talk about this. I think about self-love and self-acceptance more than your average bear. It's why I made a podcast about it, right? I think it is so, so important to my life. And so I want to sort of encourage it in everybody else's life. Autonepiophilia, actually, the point is so good that I wrote back to them and said, tell me more about your story. Because what a great question. And I was like, you tell me the distinction, right? Like, I have not made a conscious distinction between these two things. And I love this breakdown of like, if self-acceptance is merely accepting the state that you're in, self-love is like loving yourself in that state. And so I think about the day that I realized, and I've talked about this before as one thing, but it wasn't one thing. It was two. The day I realized this was never going away, that was self-acceptance. I stopped pretending like or denying that this was an indelible part of me. Once I had settled into that reality, I could begin the process of self-love. I will say, I don't think you can do self-love without some level of self-acceptance. It has to be a precursor because you have to be willing to look at where you are and just let it be, which is so hard to do. And you know if you're fighting something, right? You know when you're resisting what is. But the moment that you go, I no longer am going to deny that what is, then you can start to make a choice to either embrace that and love that as part of yourself or to simply just accept that it is, right? And in some cases continue to really hate that it is. So for me, step one is accepting. Step two then is to say, what about this could I possibly love? Is there something to be loved in this? And this is about changing your narrative. Like, this is about the story you tell yourself. At one time, the story I told myself was that I had deviant sexuality, as in other than and messed up. That somewhere in the sexuality factory, a cog had been thrown, right? And got wedged in a widget and then squeezed out this weird bit
diaper.
of Play-Doh that is my sexuality in this case, right? Something got fucked up along the way. That was the narrative I had for years. Once I sort of separately accepted this is never going away, I had to make a conscious decision to change that narrative. Now, I don't know where it came from. And as Mako likes to say, like, at some point you stop asking why and start asking how. I don't know where it came from. It maybe something got fucked up. I don't know. But I refuse to look at it as something fucked up, because what it to me now is a superpower. And we've talked about this, but I see the fact that I can instantly tell you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, what totally does it for me. That warms not just my privates, but warms my heart and my mind and my soul. And I can tell a partner that. And I already know, like, what a superpower. It's such a beautiful way to communicate to me and a way for to communicate to myself and demonstrate self-love. I have the world's greatest self-care mechanism. Right?
Yeah.
I think that's a superpower. So to me, the path to self-love after self-acceptance is you have to reframe your story. And you're not lying. You're not faking it. The question is, what could you fall in love with about this part of yourself?
I'm wondering if you're able to speak to, was there an event that happened? Was there a person that accepted you in, like, can you speak to going from this is fucked up to this is my superpower? Like, how did that actually happen did something spur that to actually happen for you?
Yes, but it wasn't a something. It was several bunches of somethings. So when I turned 30 and I had just gotten divorced, I had this showdown with myself of like, okay, what's the rest of my life going to look like? And I knew I either had to purge this thing or embrace it. I realized at that age I wasn't going to purge it. If I would have, I would have by then, because I didn't want to be divorced.
Right.
You know, this by far not the only reason we got divorced, but it was a thing. And I had lots of reasons that I would want to get rid of it. I can't. When I turned 30 and I was by myself again, I was like, how am I going to do the second 2/3 of my life? I don't think I want to do it like this again. So my trick, my hack was joining community. In this case, it was FetLife. It was the Young ABDLs and Age Players group. Then it became one friend that lived a couple hours south of me, who to this day is like my best friend in the world, that I went and met with and hung out with, and holy moly, we connected. And I was like, another person, if I could love them, what does that say about me? And then we started going to events, and I was like, if I could love these people, what does that say about me? And then those friendships and those parties brought things into my life that I wouldn't have had otherwise. And now it's like a slot machine that just keeps paying out, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to see something as a superpower when all it does is pour goodness into your life.
Yeah.
Right? And so it just kept going and going. And once I embraced community, made friendships, and then fell in love with all these other people that were around me and what made them happy and what made me happy, it was a pretty natural turn.
Yeah. I think that's so beautiful that your love for other people is what ultimately allowed you to love yourself in this thing. I think you probably have always had some pretty healthy self-love, but love yourself specifically in this thing.
Yep. This was the one thing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, because I would imagine, I've thought about, there have been times in my life where I didn't love myself, and that made me draw away from everyone else. And I'm like, how would I even have gone out to find love in the world when I was in this very dark place? So I don't know if there's anything to speak about there, of like motivating yourself to go out even when you don't have that love yet.
Yeah. Yeah. And at first, like, you have to just force one foot in front of the other, right? You have to just go try things.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily feel good yet.
Yeah.
And then eventually you get community, and you get the kind of thing that every person needs, which is I see myself, you see me.
Yeah.
You collectively, community, see me.
Mm-hmm.
And we love each other not in spite of it, but because of it.
Yeah.
And that's when that pours into your life in such a fulfilling way, right?
And I wonder if this podcast can be that first little push, like, we see you and we love you.
I'm telling you right now.
And we think you're awesome. So maybe you can go out there and find, get yourself one foot in front of the other to go meet somebody else in real life and find the same thing there.
I'm telling you, person whose ears we're in, whose car we're in, you're worth it. You're worth it. And you're not broken.
Yeah.
In fact, that crack in the foundation that you've your whole life been staring at and wondering how it got there and when's it going to blow, that crack is like, if you look through it, that's the first step toward the gold that's on the other side.
Yeah.
Like go after it.
Yeah.
That's not a problem. That's a superpower.
Yeah.
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 Also, how cool would it be if you found gold next to your house and through the crack in the foundation? I like this metaphor. I'm holding on to that one.
Are there leprechauns?
There's always leprechauns.
Okay.
Are you kidding?
I see. Yes.
This has been so fun, Lola.
Yeah. That was such a beautiful answer. Thank you.
You bet. No, I love these questions, and I love your answers, and I get wisdom every time we do this. I learn from you and from our listeners. I mean, you could see where I'm like quoting them every time we do this because I get taught something. So thank you to Autonepiophilia for that amazing and insightful question, and to everybody who writes in and sends us questions. If you want to be one of those folks, I'd love to have you. Best way to do it is send it to me at Tumblr. That's resonantyes.tumblr.com. Or you can send it to me on FetLife, which, again, Resonant Yes. Or you can send it to me on Instagram, which is, would you like to guess?
Resonant Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Or you can send it to loveandbrief@gmail.com, but I do check that a little bit less frequently. But I have this whole list of questions, and we try and cover like 6 or 7 at a time. So please keep them coming. If I didn't get to yours yet and you sent it 5 years ago, please send it again.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. But I keep the list, and I absolutely kick it to the top of my list. Anything else you want to share?
No, I'm just like so full of warm, gooey love right now.
Squishy caramel center.
Maybe that's just my diaper.
No, I changed you right before we came up here.
That's true. That's part of our real life dynamic there,
That's
everyone.
true. There you go. It is 150 degrees up here.
So,
maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
Well, what do you say we wish them good day?
Yes. And remember, like, we love you. You are worth it. Just take that step.
I love it. We'll end on that. This has been another episode of Love in Brief.